The following events occurred in Mitchell's Plain, a region within the Western Cape. Norman Afzal Simons, infamously referred to as the station Strangler, an esteemed grade 5 educator at Alpine Primary School in Beacon Valley, resided in the Mitchell's Plain area of the Western Cape. Renowned for his intellectual prowess, Mr. Simons exhibited a deep appreciation for classical music, often dedicating his leisure hours to this refined art form. His linguistic capabilities were equally impressive. He was proficient in 7 languages, including English, Afrikaans, French, Xhosa, and several others. This remarkable blend of academic dedication and cultural fluency underscores his exceptional contribution to both his profession and community. The bodies were discovered dispersed across various locations within the Cape Flats area, each interred in shallow graves. In several instances, notes were found placed adjacent to the remains. A notable and disturbing pattern emerged from the investigation. Each victim was discovered with their hands bound behind their backs and exhibited strangulation wounds around their necks. This consistent modus operandi suggests a deliberate and methodical approach by the perpetrator, highlighting the need for a thorough and focused investigative response. The station Strangler was derived from the perpetrator's method of luring his victims away from train stations, where he subsequently committed his murders. Simons commenced his series of violent crimes in October 1986. His initial attack took place in the southern region of Bellville at the Modus station, where he confronted and murdered his first victim, Jonathan Clausen. Following this initial incident, Simons continued his criminal activities into 1987, targeting a new victim near the sewage plant in Mitchell's Plain. There, the lifeless body of Yusuf Hoffman was discovered. Over the course of that year, the perpetrator claimed an additional 6 lives, with victims found across the Bellville and Sarepta areas. Some of these individuals remained unidentified. The pattern of violence extended into the following year, 1988, when Simons targeted and murdered another young boy, Calvin Spire, whose body was found near the fields of the University of the Western Cape. This sequence of crimes reflects a disturbing and methodical escalation in the perpetrator's criminal activities, underscoring the urgent need for a comprehensive and intensified investigative effort. Following this series of violent crimes, the perpetrator significantly decreased his activity, entering a prolonged hiatus during which he refrained from committing any known murders. The details of his activities or whereabouts during this 4-year period remain unclear and have yet to be established. In 1992, the perpetrator re-emerged with renewed intensity, resuming his violent campaign with the murder of Jacobus Lowe near the dunes of Manandi Beach. This resurgence marked the beginning of a harrowing period for the local community, as over the subsequent 2 years, a total of 11 bodies were discovered in and around the outskirts of Mitchell's Plain. The victims included Elino Sprinkle, as well as Jeremy Benjamin, Donovan Swartz, and Jeremy Smith. On January 27, the police uncovered the bodies of 6 young victims, further intensifying the community's distress. The deceased were identified as Fabian Wilmore, Owen Hoofmeister, Neville Samai, Marcelino Capito, and Elroy van Ruyen, along with an unidentified boy. This discovery marked a significant escalation in the case, underscoring the urgent need for resolution. In response to the mounting fear and anxiety within the community, parents in the affected areas became increasingly apprehensive about sending their children to school. Despite these concerted efforts, these initiatives yielded no significant leads or progress, further compounding the distress and uncertainty experienced by the local population. The search for the perpetrator continued for an additional 3 months, culminating in the eventual apprehension of the station Strangler. Due to insufficient evidence, Norman Simons was only charged with a single murder when he was brought to trial. The legal proceedings lasted 3 months, culminating in a sentence of 25 years for murder, with an additional 10 years for the kidnapping of Alroy van Rooyen. In 1998, the Bloemfontein High Court of Appeal dismissed Simon's appeal and imposed a life sentence, effectively extending his incarceration to a term of life imprisonment. Simon served 28 years at the Drakenstein Maximum Correctional Center in Paarl. Originally sentenced to 35 years, his term was reduced to 28 years due to eligibility for parole, which was granted in July 2023 based on good behavior. As of November 2023, Norman Simons has been released on parole and is currently under 24-hour house arrest in Parow. His movements are severely restricted, and he is required to attend regular meetings with the Department of Correctional Services. Given these circumstances, one might question whether justice has been fully served for the victims of Norman Simons, and consider whether the true extent of his criminal activities was fully acknowledged.